Hey Kings and Dragons, Dragon King 551, and today we're going to talk about fan fiction. So this is a video not about fan fiction problems. There's good and bad in it, and frankly about certain things and other things that I wanted to talk about in this story. So, or this fan fiction stuff. So first off, let me state this. Why do people read fan fiction? Well, maybe they're not happy with a ship that happens, such as One Tree Hill of Bruckus not happening, so they read it for that. Why do they write fan fiction? Because, again, they're not happy with the characters or certain ways that the show happens. Sometimes they want to put their own spin on the show and put their own aspects into the show, whether it's Downton Abbey, whether it's, Cobra Kai or something along the lines of that. Another reason is that some people just write it for fun. Other people say that they're able to write better than what the actual movie audience and TV show people give us, but that's because they have the time and luxury of not having a deadline, so they can get it out whenever they want. And then they don't have a budget, so they can come up with the most BS CGI scenes that would never happen in 10 million years and stuff. With that being said, there are tons of problems that I have run in with fan fiction. I want to talk about the whole entire thing with Archive of Our Own first. On Archive of Our Own, let me just talk about this. Be very careful with what you search because you go down a slippery slope with sexual content stories that make no sense. I was looking up a Klaus and Hope story and I got this sexual story of them having a sexual relationship and I was like, whoa, that's her biological father, that's his biological daughter. What's going on here and stuff. So just be careful with Archive of Our Own. That one I say is a slippery slope. If you're into more of those sexual stories, great. But if you're into those weird, funky ones, hop off fan fiction because you should not be reading that shit. Fanfiction.net. Let me tell you about fanfiction.net. Fanfiction.net, whether it's the website version or the other one, I would say that fanfiction.net is probably better ultimately because, fanfiction.net, you get more accurate stories and stuff with what you're trying to search, and it is a very good one. But sometimes, if you're trying to look for a ship, sometimes it's better to just search the name separate, like search Klaus and Haley fan fiction or Jordan and Layla from All-American fan fiction and stuff. Not trying to search for their ship name like Claley or Claraline or something along the lines of that, and everything else. Now, let's move into TikTok and let's move into YouTube. Here's another thing. YouTube is more edits. TikTok is more trying to promote your fan fiction and try getting it out on there. Obviously, I'm promoting it on YouTube, guys, because that's where I'm going to be. But the thing I also want to state is that fan fiction on YouTube, they use PowerPoint, like with pictures and stuff. If you're into all that Harry Potter, I would say recommending it on that. If you want to read other fan fictions, the king is Wattpad. And I'm going to get into Wattpad momentarily and talk about why I have some problems with Wattpad itself. Now, the whole thing with like TikTok, and this is the one thing I hate about fan fiction. It's called Y&N stories. Y/N stories on TikTok. The dialogue moves way too fast, but I don't like them on any fan fiction. You know why? Because in my regard, I call it lazy writing. And as I've said time and time again in fan fiction, if I don't like it, I don't have to read it. That's just my philosophy. My opinion matters as much as your opinion matters about what you like to read on fan fiction. So at the end of the day, personally, I just think that Y&N stories, in my best opinion, are lazy writing, lazy character growth, and not able to really understand it. It's hard to follow sometimes whose dialogue it is when people write it. So at the end of the day, I think it's better if you come up with a name, such as like in Cobra Kai, if you're giving Johnny Lawrence a daughter that he has with a woman that he actually loves and has a wife and not having him married to Carmen in the story, and you say that the person is just Y&N Lawrence, it makes no sense to give them Johnny, give them an actual name like Sarah Lawrence or Grace Lawrence or something along the lines of that. Moving right along, let's talk about Wattpad. The search problems in Wattpad. This is mostly Wattpad search problems. I've noticed this time and time again. This is mostly the king of fan fiction. The search problems that I have is try looking up something on Wattpad and you start getting stuff that recommended that has nothing to do with the search you got. Bruckus, start getting Riley and Lucas and Maya stuff from Girl Meets World. You know, um, something along the lines of that. Cobra Kai is straight up, but at the end of the day, there are search problems where I'm getting search stuff. Super Flash, then I'm getting stuff with Savitar and Hope, which makes no sense. I'm like, dude, why am I getting Hope Michelson stuff for this? And so forth and so on. Like, it's not giving me my search that I want and stuff. So be careful with that. I don't like how people change the character names. Okay, the changing of the character name pisses me off to a certain degree because, you know, keep some stuff constant in the story. Don't have to change a lot. Like, don't change the story because you want to change the story. Change some stuff around, but you don't have to change the character name. Like, if you have James Lucas Scott from One Tree Hill and you change the name to like Charlie or something, it just doesn't make sense. Now, creating a cast list and change who's playing them pisses me off. But at the time, let me just state this. There was a fan fiction called My Littlest Wolf, and the person casted some actor from Teen Wolf and said, at the time, I didn't know Danielle Rose Russell was casted to play teenage Hope and adult Hope. So I understand that philosophy. If you didn't know that, that's fine when you were writing your fan fiction. But if you're changing the character or the actor of the character that's already played them, that's what pisses me off. The other thing you have to remember is that if you're adding a new character that never existed into the cast list, I like a cast list because I actually want to know what actor you're using, so I have like a face cam and stuff. I know when you first read a book for the first time, you imagine what the character looks like, but once you watch the movie version of that, you see the character. So sometimes for me, I like a visual character and stuff. But that's for that. Moving right into some other problems I have here. Let's talk about this. Wattpad. The website not taking me to the app when I click on a story. Sometimes it's the website model. Like if you click on it, it doesn't take you to the Wattpad app if you have it downloaded. Ejects me from my Gmail account when I log in. Sometimes it just doesn't stay logged in and ejects me from the account. I don't know what that is. You guys let me know what that whole entire BS is. But at the end of the day, let's talk about one final thing here. So let's talk about this. I don't mind crossovers as long as it's the same genre, such as TVDU and Harry Potter. Who's to say there aren't vampires in the Harry Potter wolves? In the Harry Potter world with werewolves, spiders, and more existing in that world. I mean, just like Legacies, you get this stuff. Even though I hate Legacies, who's to say you can't have a crossover like that? But, you know, if you're adding something that makes no sense, like putting a vampire in, like, Fast and Furious or something, I'm just like, what the fuck is this crossover bullshit? And that's why I won't read the story. There's certain fanfiction I won't read because I like the current things, such as Harry and Ginny, so I don't want that relationship to be gone in a certain story. I like reading that. I don't really want, like, Harry to be in love with someone else and stuff, so there's a certain point that I will erase stuff. But if I'm doing like a Cobra Kai one that I'm working on right now, I decided to get like Hawk with a girlfriend that actually knows karate, one of the LaRusso sisters. So I'm saying Sam has two other sisters with her. And I thought it would be a better story to do something like that. For example, Cobra Kai, here it is. I like the couples in the show, Tori and Robbie and Miguel and Sam, so I would never change those couples. I would keep those constant. But if there were other characters like I'm doing with like, I'm having Mike Barnes's character have a son in this story where he's a 3-time international champion, then that's where I'm going to add new characters into the story and do something along the lines of that. But that's all I got for you guys. So until next time, guys, don't forget to stay radical. I'll see you in the next one. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. That's all I got for you guys. Let me know your thoughts on fan fiction, what you hate about it, what you like about it. Where do you go to look for fan fiction? Do you use these websites? Do you try writing your own stuff? For now, I'm just using PowerPoint to write out my stories, and then I'll upload them when I'm ready to go and write them on Wattpad. But other than that, I got nothing more to say. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, guys, if I didn't mention it, one final thing, I apologize that I didn't mention this. I wanted to also talk about ongoing stories. So be very careful with ongoing stories on Wattpad. because you know what people get suckered into, and that is the biggest F up of all time, is TikTok edits. They start doing these edits with these characters and doing these like music edits and stuff, and they just keep editing. And I know that everyone's life does get busy and stuff, but at the same time, you're not going to sit around and wait forever for the next chapter of that fan fiction to come out. And that's why sometimes I click off the fan fiction, because I'm not going to sit around and wait for your episode to keep coming out because you're doing edits. That's not me, and I'm never going to do an edit for you guys. I'm just going to start writing the story because that's what I want to do. So that's all I got for you. Again, don't forget to stay radical. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. That's all I got for you. Let me know your guys' thoughts on these ongoing stories and other things about your fan fiction.